Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your April 2018 general readings. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for all your likes, shares, subscribes, and all your support, feedback, and comments. And always a thank you to all of my clients out there, regular and new, for continuing to keep me so busy with personal one-on-one readings. And if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, you haven't read with me before, you've forgotten the information, you can get that information and my contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button. You can also get that information by looking at the description that's attached to every video that I post. Please feel free to email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you. Turnaround time for personal readings is usually pretty fast, live or recorded, because I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So I can usually fit you in within a 2-week period of time, sometimes a little sooner, but usually right around that. And I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life: love and romance, career, work, and finance, channeled messages from past on loved ones, spirituality readings. I also do specifically designed spreads for reconciliation opportunities, relationship compatibility, career path goals, and 6 and 12-month overviews, which look at what's potentially coming in your life over the next 6 or 12 months, depending on how far ahead you want to look. So if you're interested, send me an email. We'll go from there. If you just have an easy, fast question or two, and you just need a quick answer to, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy, and all that's with all my contact details. So I look forward to hearing from all of you. So moving right into this, this reading is for the Earth sign of Taurus for April 2018, our lovely bulls. See what April has in store for you. These are general readings, of course, which can be tricky because there's a lot of you watching, and so they're not going to resonate the same for everybody to the same degree and intensity. But the energy and advice always remains the same. So if you know your rising and your moon sign, watch those videos as well to get a little bit of additional insight and clarification. Or they may play out a little more predictably for you at some times. I know my background's changed just a little. No, I'm not traveling, which is usually the reason, but I had foot surgery a couple of weeks ago, and I have to keep my leg elevated, which I can't do at my desk. So for the last couple of weeks and the next couple of weeks, it doesn't really affect my work any. But since I have to keep my leg up, I'm doing all of my readings from, you know, my couch or bed or something like that, which is why it looks a little different back there. All right, Taurus, let's see what April has in store for our bulls. We begin with the Seven of Cups. I am recording these in the last few days of March. Seven of Cups, clarified and accompanied by the Page of Wands. We have the Lovers, followed by the Knight of Wands. We have the Six of Cups, followed by the Seven of Wands. And the Ace of Swords, followed by the Two of Wands. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall guidance and energy for the month is Judgment. I can totally understand why. This is an interesting reading, Taurus. Give me just a second here. It sort of looks like you're acting a little bit out of character, out of the normal Taurian character. Being an earth sign, of course, earth signs tend to be a bit more in the grounded, practical, a sense of continuity kind of side, and I feel like you're maybe kind of acting a little out of that character, kind of operating off the well-beaten path, maybe for emotional or relationship reasons. I mean, we all have our days, no matter how analytical and grounded we can be. Sometimes when love comes in, or relationship and issues come in, and emotions run high, we can also all tend to act maybe a little irrationally or out of our normal mode of operating. But you're being cautioned to be careful about any decisions you make, because it looks like you may be tempted to just kind of be a bull and charge right in, very single focused, without allowing yourself to take a step back and take a minute and look at things a little more realistically. And you need to, or your advice is to be. I mean, your overall energy and focus and advice, guidance for the month of April 2018 is Judgment. What does judgment really mean? What does it mean to be judged? Judged Judgment is when you are called to account for yourself. You're held accountable and responsible for your actions, your decisions, not what you intended, not what you meant or wanted or hoped for, but the choices and decisions you actually made and the things you actually set into motion. And there's an air of finality about judgment. I mean, we're called to account for ourselves, and then judgment is passed, and that judgment is final. So there's an air of finality about it, meaning that whatever decisions or choices you make, whatever you set into motion, you are, one, going to be called to account for it at some point, and two, you're not going to be able to reverse it. It's going to have long-lasting effects and ramifications. So be careful about what you choose to do or what you set into motion. The cautionary advice with judgment is take your time, consider everything. Do not just go, charging ahead like you sometimes can, Taurus. Because you may regret it later if you don't think it out. Judgment has that air of finality, and I usually see judgment show up for clients when there's a decision that needs to be made, or something is being set into motion. Because even if in the present it may seem like a big decision, or it may not seem like a big decision, what you choose or how you choose to behave and act is going to set off a ripple effect that's going to extend into the future for quite some time. So be very careful about this. We don't want to be spontaneous and impulsive when judgment shows up. And it looks like you're tempted to do that, Taurus. I mean, we begin the month with the Seven of Cups and the Page of Wands. This is very impulsive, kind of almost irrational thinking, or maybe not just thinking realistically. Which is not really your way or your style, but I feel like it's emotions and relationship that's kind of got you all flustered, maybe. The Seven of Cups is a card of, it can be a card of distraction, fantasy, daydreaming, illusion. There's a very dreamy feel about it. You can see that all 7 of these cups are filled with something beautiful, and they each represent promise or potential, but they're not all possible, and they may not all be realistic or practical, which is where the fantasy, illusionary, not being grounded or practical about it. When I see this card, I'm often reminded of the young person or the child that wants to be an astronaut one week, and the next week they want to be a doctor, and then the next week they want to be a fireman or a ballerina. Each one of those goals is perfectly achievable, and if you choose one and you stick on it. But this is one of considering all different kinds of things and fantasizing about all different kinds of things, and it may not be always practical and reality bound. And that is further accentuated by its accompanying and clarifying card, which is the Page of Wands, which is fire energy, which is what governs Wands. Cups is emotions. It's watery, emotion, feeling, relationship energy. Wands is fire, action-oriented, fluid, forward-moving. And Pages are the youngest and least mature energies of the deck and of the court cards. Very much student apprenticeship, childlike or childish behavior. Just starting out fresh, eager, enthusiastic. It's lovely energy. I'm often reminded of a puppy trying out its legs for the first time when I see Pages, particularly the Page of Wands. Not really thinking too much, wanting to move ahead because you're excited, you're passionate, you're enthusiastic, you're just full of, the sparks are flying all over the place. Paired with the Seven of Cups, it's not something I always want to see in regards to something, particularly major decisions, which it looks like is on your plate, particularly relationship decisions, which could affect other people, including yourself. So starting off the month, ending March, starting off April with this energy, I mean, it feels like fun, lovely, giddy, over the moon kind of energy, but it looks like it may be prompting you to act a bit not entirely grounded, practical, or rational. And in that kind of state of mind, we can tend to make significant decisions, life-changing decisions, which we will not be able to change. They will have a lasting effect. So we want to slow down just a little bit, Taurus, which normally you're pretty good at it, but looks like emotions and maybe perhaps a relationship is prompting this impulsive energy. Because next we have very similar energy. We have the Lovers and the Knight of Wands. Taurus. What's happening? So the Lovers is a major arcana card. It can represent a soulmate relationship. It's definitely a relationship that's very connected, kinetic, passionate, full of passion, enthusiasm, desire. There is obviously no lack of heat in these two people. The Lovers also represents making a significant choice. Typically that has to do with or around a relationship, and this will be a significant decision. This is Major Arcana cards. In the early tarot decks, this was not called the Lovers, it was called the Choice, and it showed a man standing in front of two women or a woman standing in front of two men, the implication being that they had to make a choice that was going to affect the lives of everyone involved. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean choosing between two people, although for some of you this could be. But it represents making a significant choice. It's Major Arcana energy, so this is not a small decision, and its effects are not going to be small, and they will be long-lasting and far-reaching. Remember your overall guidance and advice. So a decision is on the plate, but it looks like you're just not thinking entirely with that earth energy you're usually known for. That Lovers is, and you're wanting to act really quickly. That Lovers is accompanied by the Knight of Wands, very fast-moving, spontaneous, impulsive, charging energy, which is what Knights are known for. When Knights show up, they often represent something being brought, offers, or opportunities, but they also represent the speed at which a situation moves. And of all four of the Knights, the Knight of Wands is the fastest because he's governed by fire, and he's right next to the Page of Wands. So it looks like this, whatever this major decision is, you're making it quickly, or you have this desire to make it quickly. But again, with that overall advice, Taurus, I know you may be caught up in the heat of the moment and being that lovely, wonderful, powerful, yet sometimes stubborn bull that you are. Once you get something in your sights, it's hooves down, head down, horns out, and off you go without stopping to look. Your peripheral vision gets turned off. Taurus, please don't do that this month. I mean, we live in a free will zone. You can do whatever you want to. My job here as a psychic is to channel energies from spirit and present the paths that are available and what taking each of those paths look like. That's what I do for personal clients. If you continue to charge forward rather quickly into this energy and make these significant, important decisions, which looks like they're going to affect not just you, but other people, I think the effects are going to be long-lasting, and you're being cautioned to slow down and think about it. And Spirit doesn't say that for no reason. There's a reason why, and I think that that reason will be revealed if you stop and take a minute and slow down. Yeah, it's like Taurus has fallen in love, and they're just, maybe they're already in a relationship, and maybe you've been in a relationship and you met somebody new and you are completely over the moon, and you are saying, okay, I'm leaving my marriage or relationship of X years, or even job. It could be job, although I mean, it's so clearly in the emotional arena here in relationships. I'm not really feeling it, but it could be jobs, I suppose, for some of you. I can only channel what I channel. And it's like you may be considering leaving something long-lasting and established because maybe you're bored or I don't know what. But Spirit is saying proceed cautiously and more slowly and more thoughtfully. And when they say that, it's for a reason. You can choose to take it or not take it. We live in a free will zone. But I would strongly advise you to take it, Taurus. Okay. So moving on, we have the Six of Cups and the Seven of Wands. Six of Cups is a card typically associated with the past. This can be the long ago past, like childhood, your parents, roots of origin, where you grew up, long-lived relationships or friendships that you've had for a long time, relationships of all kinds, reminiscence, nostalgia, looking back through rose-colored glasses at a time which, we always look back at the past, and it's hard to think about the hard times then. We tend to think of things with, more childlike, carefree. We don't always see the past realistically. But sometimes it just connects to people from your past or roots from your past or belief systems that you've had even for a long, long time. It can represent reaching out, doing something philanthropic or reaching out to the past in some way as well. Sometimes it can represent travel to the past, i.e. meaning like traveling back to see your parents or where you grew up or roots of origin or something of that sort, where you come from. Something which has the weight of history. It's accompanied and clarified by the Seven of Wands, which is defensive energy. It's holding on to something, defending it, protecting it, guarding it, because You feel strongly about it. You have a lot invested in it. This man is standing in front of the door to his home, his castle, his keep, whatever it is that he feels strongly about. And he's defending, protecting, guarding it because he feels like it's being threatened or challenged somehow. Standing up for himself, what he believes in, what he's built, what's been there. Sometimes it can be a good thing, and sometimes it can be a little too defensive. And again, because of the rest of this energy, I feel like it might be, you may be erring on the side of being a little too defensive, Taurus. Forgive me if this is sounding like a lecture. Do the best I can. So there's a defensiveness around the past or about the past. Now, how this plays out, it could be that maybe you met somebody from your past and all of a sudden the feelings are there and you're wanting to leave something established and you have to make this choice and you're wanting to rush ahead and do it. The defensiveness could be about that. The defensiveness could be that, again, maybe you're wanting to rush into a decision that disconnects you from something you've had for a long time, and maybe you shouldn't, or maybe you should think about it a little longer, but you're not because you're being very defensive about it. I mean, I'm not sure. General readings are kind of tricky that way. Some of you are going to be on one side of it, and some of you are going to be on the other side of it. It's always great to get feedback because I like to hear about how things actually play out in specifics for people when it's not a personal reading. But there's defensiveness around the past. And compared with this other over the moon, head in the clouds, impulsive energy, slow down, Taurus. At or towards the end of April 2018, we have the Ace of Swords and the Two of Wands. By the way, I'm using the Gilded Tarot by artist Cyril Marchetti, which I often use for general readings. I love the richness of the colors and his artistry. Okay, so the Ace of Swords. Swords is air energy. This is about what goes on up in here. How we look at things, our words, our ideas, our belief systems, which affects how we look at things, which affects how we communicate, how we see things, relate, communicate with the world around us and with people in the world. It's mental, cerebral, intellectual energy. It's about our perceptions and perspectives and belief systems, which affect exactly how we relate and communicate. It's also about, Swords is also about truth, illumination, clarity, insight, higher education, everything that goes on up in here that deals with our brain, our minds. Aces are a little extra shot, a little of good luck, a little blessing in a spread. They also represent the number one, so they represent the start of something new, the beginning of a new path, or the opportunity for the start of something new. So this is the Ace of Swords. This is a new thought, a new idea, an epiphany, the light bulb going off over your head. Seeing something in a different, fresh perspective in a new way, or having a new idea about something, about maybe how you've looked at it or have looked at it before. This is seeing it with new, fresh eyes. And the Ace of Swords, because this is not emotional energy, this is intellectual, cerebral, logical, practical energy. The Ace of Swords, this sword comes in and it cuts away all extraneous fantasy and illusion, and illuminates and clarifies and exposes something for the truth and reality of what it absolutely is. Not what we hope it to be, wish it to be, sugarcoat it in, but what it actually is. Clarifying, new perspective and idea. And it's clarified and accompanied by the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is about long-term thinking, which I don't think at the beginning of the month you're quite caught up in thinking down the road so much. The Two of Wands it's important. This man is at a crossroads, which I feel you are. He needs to choose a path. Do I go left or do I go right? The key to choosing the right path is in looking down the road. It's impossible or very difficult to plan for a journey that doesn't have an ultimate destination in mind. So this is about looking down the road and going, okay, in this particular area of my life, whatever area this is resonating in for you, Taurus. And this is a fundamental sage piece of advice for any area of your life, for anybody. If you're not happy in a certain area of your life, look down the road. Where do you ultimately want to be? What's your ideal? What's your goal? What's your ideal in this part of your life? And choose the path that takes you there, step by step, in a realistic, practical way. If I start on this path, do the decisions I make take me closer and closer towards achieving that long-term goal? This is stopping and taking a look at the pros and cons of each path and looking at which one will realistically take you to where you want to be, what your ultimate goal is. This is not a card about rushing ahead impulsively. This is the opposite. This is stopping and going, okay. So do I go left? Do I go right? If I do this, what will all the consequences be? Not just now, but down the road. If I do this, what will all the consequences and effects be? Not just now, but down the road for me and for everybody else involved in this. That's what you're being asked to do. And you're being asked to take another look at it and maybe get some new insight or guidance, seeing it in a different way. I think stopping and just letting things play out for a while will also give you that, because remember, that's your guidance and advice. So Taurus, hopefully this wasn't too much of a lecture. Very interesting reading. It's quite enjoyable, actually. More complex than some. So Taurus, that pretty much wraps up your April 2018 general reading. I hope that you have enjoyed it, or at least found it somewhat helpful and useful. Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal, tailored just for you, one-on-one reading with me, you can get all that information and my contact details by going to my YouTube channel, clicking on the little About button, and also by looking at the description attached to all the videos that I post. Please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you. And you can, for fast answers to, real quick, easy, simple questions, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy, and that's also with my contact details. So Taurus, I will see you all in a couple of weeks for the April 2018 mid-month readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care, Taurus, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.